Hey everyone, my name is Riley, and in this video, I will be showing you how to create a professional website with Squarespace. It doesn't matter how experienced you are, even if you have never built a website before, this video is going to contain all of the information that you need to go ahead and create your own professional website. I will be taking you through every step click by click, so all you have to do is follow along and you will walk away from this video with a beautiful customized website. If that sounds like something you are interested in, then keep watching and let's jump right into the tutorial. Okay, so the first thing that you want to do is click on the first link in the description of this video, and that is going to take you over to Squarespace right here so that we can start at the same point. Now, once you are on Squarespace, just go ahead and click on this Get Started button in the middle right here. And this is now going to ask us a few questions like what is your site about? And if we go through here and select these, it's going to ask us a bunch of questions. Now, these questions do not really change anything. It's effectively just Squarespace asking questions for their own interest. So what I always do is just go down here and click on skip. And this is going to save us a lot of time if we just skip those questions. It's then going to ask us if we would like to build a custom template with Squarespace Blueprint or choose a professionally designed website template. We want to choose this option to choose a designed template and then click on finish. And right here, it's going to take us over to this screen where we can go ahead and actually choose the template that we want to use. Now, along the top here, you will notice we have different types and different topics. So in this type section, we can choose between whether you want to create like an online store, a portfolio, a blog, a scheduling website, all of these different options right here. So just in the type, choose the option for the type of website that you want to create. In this example, I'm going to go ahead and create a blog. And one thing that I do want to mention here is you are not really giving up any features or anything to add to the website, like you're not boxing yourself in. All these templates they are just a starter point. They have certain default configurations, but all of these templates are completely customizable in the exact same way. Now, if I just go back up to the top here, we also have this topic section. So you can go down and let's say, for example, that I want to create a food blog. I can go here and this is just going to give me some food starter templates. Even if you are creating a food blog, but you prefer the template of another design, you can absolutely go with it and choose that design instead, and then just customize that template into a food blog. However, I'm just going to make this nice and easy. I'm going to be creating a travel blog. So I'm going to select travel up here and take a look at some of these travel templates. Now, if you see a template that you like the look of, you can go ahead and click into that template. And right here, it's going to pull up the template and give us an overview of how this is going to look. Now you can click into any of these sections. For example, I can click into read more, and it's going to take me over to that page of the template. So we can click about here and just see overall if this is actually the template that you want to go with. If you look at a template and you decide you don't really like it, we can also go back to the main template selection screen right here. So I am going to go with this. We can also go over here and take a look at how this blog or how the web page is going to look on mobile phone. And this is super important. I think this is something that people often overlook when creating a website, is they are designing this on a computer, so they just leave this up, not realizing that, nowadays everybody is on their phone, so 70 to 80% of your entire traffic is going to be on mobile. Now, we will cover that later on, how we can properly optimize each website for mobile. So that is not something we have to worry about now, but it's just nice to look at anyway. So as I said, I'm going to go with this template right here. Once you have your template selected, over here on the right hand side, we can also go ahead and choose the different colors for this site. So right now you can see we kind of have like this blue color, black and gray, which we can see here. But if I go ahead and change this, you can see that I can kind of change the colors and the overall design of the website. So I'm just going to go through here and choose one that looks good. And I'm actually going to go for this one right here. And then once you are happy with how this looks, just click on Start with this design. Squarespace is then going to ask you to create an account, and we can do this with either Google, Apple, or just your regular email. So I'm going to go through with the Google option right here, and then I can choose the Google account that I would like to use. It's then going to go ahead and set things up and take us over into the actual editor where we can then go ahead and start making changes to this website. So you should now have selected the template that you are going to be using as almost like the building block of this website. In this next section, I will be showing you how we can use the Squarespace editor to take this from a default template into a beautiful and professional website. So on this page, it says welcome to the site, and we can go ahead and now choose a site title. Now this is not super important. We can absolutely come back to this at any time. So just go ahead and enter in a site title. I'm going to go ahead and call this GeForce North. And keep in mind, this is not a domain. The domain of your website, we can go ahead and select later. So as I said, this doesn't really matter. But once that is selected, just go ahead and click next. And then they are going to give us a quick tutorial right here. Just show us how you can edit pages. But I'm going to cover all of this in this tutorial. So we can just go through and skip this and click on Get Started. So on this screen, you can see a few options first of all. So right now, this website is going to be interactive. We can click into certain areas. And the reason for this is because we are not yet in the edit mode. We will cover that in a second, how we can actually get into the edit mode and go ahead and start making changes. But this is the first basis of your website. At the top here, we can also go ahead and flick this over to mobile view. But let's just go back to desktop view for now. And let's actually go in and start making some changes to the website. So this front page right here is going to be where we are going to spend the majority of our focus in actually changing this up and starting to customize this website to change this from a blank template into your fully customized website. So what we are going to do here is just go up to this edit button in the top left corner. And that is going to take us through to the edit mode of Squarespace. Now, once this loads up, you will see that we get taken from kind of like a smaller screen into a full screen view. And now we are in the editor. This is where we can go ahead and start making changes and customizing this website. Now, the way that the Squarespace editor works is a combination between these sections and also a grid editor. Now, sections are very, very common, and this is usually what you see on modern day website builders. And you can see each section just by hovering over the section. And this top section is everything between this blue line and this blue line down here. Then the second section is going to be between this blue line and this blue line. And you can see each section of the website, when we hover over this, is going to be outlined by these two different blue lines. Inside of each section, we are going to get individual elements. So as you can see, for example, here we have like a heading or a text block. Then we have two images. And although your template might be slightly different in the layout of all of these, it's going to be the same, where we have all of these different sections, like we have a button here, we have images, and inside of each section, we have elements to make this up. So going a step further in how we can actually edit each element is actually very simple. So for example, this text block that says documenting the very best food and travel, all we have to do to edit this is click into that element. And then as you can see, we now have this text tool where we can go ahead and make changes. And then along the top here, you can also see that we have a toolbar to make even further changes. So I could change this from heading 2 to heading 1, which is going to make this a little bit bigger, all the way down to adding this to like paragraph 3, which is going to be the smallest. So that's kind of like the meta of how we change this. We can also then go ahead and make this bold. So we need to highlight the text and then click bold. And as you can see, this is now bold. We then have this button, which will make this italic. We can then change the color of the text using this button right here. And then we can choose from either using the palette of the website, which I would recommend doing to keep everything congruent. So all of the colors shown underneath the palette are also going to be colors that are used further down in the website. If you do not like this though, or you do want to make further changes, we can click in and go over to custom. And this is going to give you more customizability with the color. However, as I say, I would recommend sticking with the palette and sticking with the main colors of your website. So there are a few more buttons over here that you can go ahead and try out. I will just mention the few that I think are super important. The first one is going to be this link button. So if I want to change this text to allow this to have a link inside, I can highlight the text, click on this link button, and then right here, I can input the link of where I want this text to take me to. We can also align the text in different areas using this button right here. If we want to align this in the middle, if we want to align this on the far side, or where we want to do this. And then we also have a fill option, which is going to allow us to fill the entire element with a different color. So for example, I can change the color over here. And as you can see, the entire element has now changed to be this color. We do have a few more settings, like we can make this smaller or larger, play around with the corner radius, and basically make this, if we want this to be around this corner, we can add this in as well. You can also delete any element by simply clicking on the element and then clicking on this trash can icon, and that is going to completely remove that element. If you make a mistake or you want to go back at any point, all you have to do is click Command Z if you are on Mac or Control Z if you are on PC, and that is going to take you a step back, and we can just keep doing this to get back to where we originally were. So that is how you can edit any text on your website. We also have buttons, which we can once again click into. And if we click once, you can see this is going to give us the starter window. But if we double click, it's going to open up this secondary window where we can go even further in and customize this even further. You can also move around any elements on your website by simply dragging and clicking. And this is a super cool feature of Squarespace. Not many website builders are this versatile in letting you move things around. But for example, if I want to take this button and move it into the middle, all I have to do is drag and drop this, and I can move this to be anywhere I want it to be. You can also add in new sections to your website, either above or below a previous section, by clicking on this Add Section button right here. This is going to open up the Add Section window. And as you can see, we have a few different options. You can either add in like an image section, you can add in a video section, we can add in different menus, quotes, a lot of different things that we can go ahead and add in here as a new section. So in this example, I'm just going to go ahead and add in maybe a testimonial. And as you can see, this new section is going to be added in. If you want to delete a section at any time, for example, if you have a section on your website that you don't like, all you have to do is come over to this section on the right hand side, click on this remove button, and then we can go ahead and remove that section. You can also change around the order of sections. For example, we have food right here and we have travel. If I want to go ahead and move the travel section above the food section, all you have to do is go once again over to this menu on the right hand side, and we can click on this plus arrow to move up. And as you can see, that travel section is now above the food section. You can also duplicate any section by using this menu as well. So we have this food section, I can duplicate this, and as you can see, this section has now been duplicated. I'm just going to remove this as we don't really need this right now. And then the final thing that I want to show you about individual sections is we can also click on this edit section button up here, and this is going to give us even further customization of this specific section. So we can see I specifically have this food section highlighted because we have these blue lines on either side showing me that this is the specific section that is highlighted. And then we have a few options here. So this row count is effectively how big do you want the section to be. This is currently made up of 16 different rows. And if I go ahead and turn this up, you can see that that section is going to get longer. So I could maybe turn this up to 25. And you can see that is going to make this section much bigger. Or we can go ahead and turn this down and make this section even smaller. The only limit here is going to be if you have elements in the way. So we can see this summary element right here is going to prevent me from making this section even smaller, because if I did, it would then cut off this element, which it just doesn't allow you to do. You can also toggle if you want the section to fill the screen or if you do not want it to fill the screen, and it's just going to make it slightly smaller. This is not really something I play around with. I always leave the section to fill the screen. And then we can also choose the height of the section. And all this is effectively going to do is add some padding or take some padding away up here. So if you want a bigger gap in between different sections, you can go ahead and turn this up. If you want a smaller gap, make sure this is turned down. We can also flick over to the background section, where we can go ahead and add in different background images. So to add in a background image, you can also do this with video, or this is classed as art. This is just like pre-built by Squarespace. You can also go ahead and add these in right here. With the art section, we can go ahead and click on this customize icon to change the colors, the shape and size, and overall just get more customizability with each of these art sections. So this is definitely something that is worth playing around with. But let me just show you how this is going to look with an image. I can add an image in here, upload the file, and then if I drop this in, this is now going to fully upload. And just like that, you can now see that I have this as a background image. We can also change the focus point of this image by dragging this little circle around, and this is just going to change how the image is shown. We can also drag and slide this along to change the overlay opacity, and this is usually if you have some text. As you can see here, the text is going to be more visible the more I turn this up, and less visible as I turn this down. So this can be handy depending on if the colors clash right here. So let me just go back and let's get rid of that. And that is how you can customize and add in and change around these different sections. We can also add in different blocks and elements using this button on the left hand side. So for example, if I want to add in a new block, I can click add block, and then we have all of these different blocks that we can add in. So as an example, if I want to add in a newsletter, I can drag this in, and with this blue box, you can see how much space this is going to take up. So there's not really anywhere I can place this that is good. Maybe if we move this down a little bit. And as you can see there, with these elements, I can move this down, and that is automatically going to change the size of this section. So maybe I can add this right here, just as an example. And then once again, we use this toolbar at the top to go ahead and make changes to this certain element. So that is how you can edit the main content and the main look of the website. So once again here, if I just want to change this background, I can go into edit section. And then as you can see, this is currently an image, but I can go ahead and maybe delete this. And as you can see, that is going to change how this looks. Maybe I want to add some art here. You guys get the idea. Let me just go back and set this to how it was. So that is how you can go ahead and make changes to the individual sections, add blocks, and edit these blocks on your website. The final thing that I want to leave you with when talking about how you can add and edit all of these different things on the website is if you want royalty-free images, I recommend this website called Pexels. Now, these are stock images that you can get and are completely royalty-free, so you can use them on your website. You can search for anything here. So for example, I could search for like travel because I'm creating a travel blog. And then as you can see, we have all of these images right here that you can use on your website. So that is how you can edit the main content of your site. In this next section, I will be showing you how you can edit both the header and the footer of your website. So to edit the header and the footer, we can just go up here, and the thing that I will say about these is this is going to be the only thing that is static on your website. So for example, let me just go ahead and save this and I will show you. We have this header. If I go to the about page, the header is going to stay the exact same. So the header and the footer are going to be shown on all of the different pages on your website. So now let's go back into edit and make some changes to this. So it's actually very easy. Let's actually go back to the home page, just like we were before. Okay. So this is very easy. All we have to do is hover over the header and then click on edit site header right here. And then once again, just like before, we can either go into edit design over on this right hand side, where we can go ahead and change a few things. So we can choose the layout of this. So right now you can see the logo is in the middle, but if we want the logo on the left hand side, we have this over here, and we can change all of this by using this layout button. So you can change, first of all, the overall layout of the header. And then we can also choose the link spacing. So as you can see on the sides here, if I move this up and down, it's going to move the social media icons and then this menu. It's going to give us a bigger distance between these. I usually keep this as about 1, as the spacing right there looks good. We also have the element spacing. So any elements that you add in, I don't have any in there yet, but you can choose the element spacing right here. We can also add different effects to the header. So we can add a drop shadow, for example. Let's go ahead and turn this up, and you can see that is going to add a shadow to the header. Now, it's not really as visible right now because the main section of the website is made darker. So just keep that in mind. Right now, you can see this isn't super dark, but if I go ahead and save this and then back out, it is going to make this a little bit darker. So if I just go back into edit design, let's get rid of this drop shadow. I don't want this. We can also add a border to the header. So right now you can see we don't really have much of a border, but if I make this thicker, you can see that is a much stronger border. This is another thing that I don't really use, I don't really do, so we can just remove that. And then we can also choose if this is a fixed position. So what this means is right now, if I just back out, you can see if I scroll down the website, the header is not going to follow me. It's just going to stay at the top. Whereas if I go back into edit, let's go back into the header and turn this on. So fixed position is now on. What this is going to do is this now means that the header is going to follow me down the site. So as you can see, the header is now following me the entire way. So you can choose whether or not you have this on. I'm just going to turn this off for now, but we do have a few different options if we want this to be scroll back or just the basic fixed position. In the size, we can also choose the size of the header, so you can have this as big or small as you like. Usually when I'm creating my websites, I have this between 1.5 to 2, as I just think that looks the best. And then we can also choose the width of the header. Over here, we can also go with the color, whether we want this to be a solid color, whether we want this to be a gradient, or whether we just want this to be adaptive and effectively adapt to the rest of the website. I usually leave this on adaptive, however solid is also pretty nice, and we can go in and maybe set it to a color like this, and then once again play around with all of these different settings to make the header look like you would want it to look. I'm just going to leave it like this. So that is how we can edit the header as a section, but what we can also do is go ahead and tweak the elements in this. So once again, if I just go ahead and press on this, we can go ahead and choose the logo. So right now, this is just going to show up as the site title, but we can go ahead and upload a logo in here. So I'm going to do exactly that and just upload this logo right here. And that logo is going to be dropped in. We can also choose the logo height, and this is going to change the overall size of the header. So I just usually like to keep this at around 50. And then we can also do the same thing for the mobile logo. So if we go ahead and flick this over to mobile, and once again go into the logo right here, we can go ahead and change this on mobile to see how this is going to look on the mobile view. Once you are happy with this, let's just go back to desktop and go back into here. And then if you do want a different logo for mobile, you can go ahead and upload it here. But there is not really any reason to do this. Like there's not many websites that will have a different logo for mobile. So going out of this, we can also add new elements into the header section. So right here, rather than having a big selection that we can choose from, it's more of something that we can toggle. So if we want a button up here, we can go ahead and turn this on, like cart, we can go for language switch or anything like that. And then once again, if you add these new elements to the header, all we have to do is click into that element, and then we can go ahead and edit this using, once again, one of these drop-down menus. So let's change this to more info. We can then add a link here of where we want this button to send us to. And then overall, we can choose the design of the button. So that is the header right there. Let's just back out of this. And then if we scroll all the way down, we also have this footer section. So once again, we can click into edit site footer. And then just like it is last time, we can edit the section and choose the format, the background, the colors, and how we want this to look. Like the size of this, everything like that. And then each individual element, we can click in here and change just as we did before. We can delete certain elements. We can change the text. So I will say G Force North once again. And then we can go ahead and add in new elements. And as you can see, the way that we edit the footer and how we drag in all of these elements is a lot more customizable than the header. Once you have edited those, just make sure that you save the changes and then we can exit. And another thing that I do want to mention here is you can have a bit more customizability of the website if we fully back out. So back out of the edit mode and then go ahead and click on this paintbrush icon, and it's going to open up this menu at the side. In here, we can change things like the entire font of the website. So we can change like the base size of the font. We can go in here, click on switch and choose which font we actually want to use. We have a few different fonts here, so just play around with these and see which one really fits your website. We can also change the main colors of the website. So if you remember the palette that we have earlier, we can go in here and edit the palette and change the overall colors. So you can choose from all of these different palettes right here, or alternatively, you can make your own palette by clicking on each palette color and then playing around with this on the right-hand side. So let's just change this back to how this was before. I'm just going to leave this palette. I don't think this is the exact same, but no worries. And then we can also go ahead and customize the themes in here. So for example, we have this bright 2. We can go in and customize this. And this is a little bit confusing, especially as a beginner. Like this is going a little bit too granular, but it is there if you want to play around with this. So that is the main website customization. With everything that you have learned so far, you can take one of the default Squarespace templates and turn it into your own beautiful website. The next thing that we are going to cover is how you can add pages to your website and add them to the navigation menu so that when people come to your website, they can quickly and easily navigate to these new pages. So to add new pages to your website, wherever you are right now, if you are in the editor, just go ahead and exit out of this and make sure you are on this screen right here. Then all we are going to do is go over to this menu on the left hand side and click into website at the top. This is going to take us over to the pages section. And we can see we have two options here. We have the main navigation, and right now you can see this is blog and about, and these are both shown on the website. Or we have not linked. Right now it's just home, but this makes sense because people can just click on this button and be taken to this home screen. So to add in a new page, all we have to do is either go to main navigation if you want this shown in the navigation bar, or not linked if you want to not show this on the navigation bar. Click on this plus icon, and then we have all of these different pages that we can choose from. So some of these are just going to be given with templates. For example, if we click on blog right here, we can go ahead and choose one of these blog pages, and it's going to give us a template that we can add in here, and then we can go ahead and customize. Alternatively, if you just want to add in a blank page, we can click on blank page, and then let's just name this page Contact Us, just like that. And then just like that, you can see we now have this brand new page that's going to show up in this top section. Now to actually go ahead and edit this page and make changes, we once again just want to go into the editor, and then we can go ahead and add sections. You have already seen this, we have been through how to do this. So you can go through and either choose one of these sections that is pre-built. We have like an image section, a photo section. For this, it might be a good idea, as this is a contact us page, to go ahead and just use one of these pre-built templates. And then just like before, we can drag things around. We can click into edit this and make the changes that we want to on this page. So I will just go ahead and save this. Let's not make any changes to this for now. But over on this left-hand menu, we can also go ahead and drag and rearrange the navigation menu. So for example, I don't really want a contact us page to be the first option. So all you have to do is drag and drop this beneath. So you just drag the item and then you can drop it beneath, and that is going to change how the navigation menu looks. If you are still potentially working on the page and you don't want it to be shown on the navigation menu, we can just go ahead and drag this to not linked, and that is going to remove it from the navigation bar. Let's just move this back, and then we can also go into the settings right here. We can change like the page title, the navigation title, the URL slug. So this is effectively going to be yourdomain.com, and then after this backslash, this is going to be the URL slug. We can also enable and disable the page. So once again, if you are working on the page, we can just go ahead and turn this off. And this means that nobody can access this, but the page still exists. Finally, if you want to delete the page, we can do this on this section right here. Just click on delete page, and then we can delete this. And just like that, that page is now going to be deleted. If you have followed along so far, we now have the main bulk of the website completed. You now know how to customize your template, add pages, and add them to the navigation menu. However, as I mentioned earlier on, up to 70 to 80% of all of the traffic that will be coming to your website is going to come from mobile. So in this next section, I will be showing you how we can not only view how this will look on mobile, but how we can make changes to this and fully optimize this so your website not only looks beautiful on desktop, but also looks fantastic on mobile as well. So to go ahead and take a look at how this looks on mobile and potentially make a few changes, let's just back out of this and get back to this main menu and then go into the editor. In here, we can then go over to the mobile view at the top along here, and this is how the site is going to look on mobile. So looking at this, I mean, this text is not really visible on this either, so let me just go ahead and change this background completely. Let's just remove this, and that is much better. Now let's go over to mobile and see how this really looks. So as you can see on mobile, this actually looks fine. The only thing that I will mention is sometimes the way that elements are placed can be a little bit random. Now, the awesome thing about Squarespace is we can just go ahead and rearrange these. So for example, let's say we want the image to be above this read more button. We can just go ahead and rearrange these just like this, and then nothing is going to change on the main desktop version. Once again, I will show you with this section, it should probably be a bit easier. Let's go ahead and take a look at how this looks on mobile. But if I want to go ahead and add the text above the image, or even the button above the image and have the image at the bottom, we can then go over to desktop and we can see that nothing has changed and this looks exactly the same. We can even take this a step further and change like the size of the image as well. Like we can make this even bigger, align this in the center, and then if we go over to desktop, it looks the exact same and it's made no changes here. So this is what I really like about Squarespace. This whole mobile optimization is super easy. The only thing that I will say, and the only limitation that does come with it, is text alignment. So we can clearly see that on here, we need the text aligned to the left, but on mobile, this doesn't really look as good. However, if I go in here, make some changes, and then change the alignment to the center, if I now go back over to desktop, you can see this is going to change the alignment. Now this is not horrible and there is definitely workarounds to do this. You just kind of have to move around elements and make sure this looks good on both, but that is the only limitation. Of course, as well, if we were to remove an element on mobile and then go back over to desktop, the element is also going to be removed there. So as I said, there is certain things that you can move around on mobile and it doesn't affect the desktop version, but when deleting and aligning text and images, that is going to take place on both the desktop and the mobile version. So if we go ahead and save this, pretty much everything that we need about the website, how to edit this, how to add pages, and the main bulk of what we need is already talked about. The only thing that we need to do now is go ahead and choose a Squarespace plan. The reason that we need to do this is because if we want to make this website public and allow people to actually access the website, we need to go ahead and choose a plan. Just to show you this, if I go to settings right here on the left-hand side, and then we go to site availability, you can see this is private. We can allow people to access this with a password, but you don't really want to do this. You wouldn't be able to get the password out there to everybody who wants to access the site. So if we want to go ahead and make this public, you can see that we need to go ahead and choose a plan. So on here, you can either access this two ways. At the bottom here, you should have a banner that says your trial ends in 14 days. This is probably the way that I would recommend to do this. Just go ahead and click on subscribe, and then we can go ahead and choose a plan for Squarespace. So I'm going to change this to US dollars just to make this nice and simple. And then you can see we have a few different plans here. We have the personal, business, and then basic commerce and advanced commerce. Now, if you are just building a standard website, then you can go with either of these two plans right here. However, if you are creating an e-commerce store, effectively, if you are going to sell something on your website and you want to be able to take payments, then you will need to go with one of these commerce plans right here. As I said though, if you are just building a standard website, you can go with either personal or business. And I would just recommend scrolling down and seeing the difference in the features that you get here. The main ones are going to be the professional email from Google. This is super handy to make your website even more professional. And then you also get these website analytics and so on. Usually I do go with the business plan. However, you can definitely go with personal, and then if you feel like you do need business in the future, then you can just go ahead and upgrade. Something else I will mention is you can save like an additional amount of money if you go annually. So rather than paying for your plan every month, you can pay the whole year upfront. And you do get a nice little discount here. Rather than paying $33 per month, you can pay $23 per month, but you pay this all upfront. Now, just for this, as this is a tutorial, this is an example website, and I am not actually going to be using this website. I'm just going to go with the personal plan right here to save myself a little bit of money and go pay monthly. But I'm just going to walk you through this entire process to show you how this works. So once you have selected your plan and the payment, we can then go ahead and enter in the billing address right here. And then once this is entered, just click on save and continue. This next section will then ask you to enter your credit or debit card information. So once again, just go ahead and enter this and then click on save and continue. Once all of that is entered, we then get the option to review order. So once again, once all of this is entered, just click on confirm payment, and that will go ahead and grab you your plan. It will then take you through to this screen where it says you're ready to launch your site. So the only thing that we need to do now is go ahead and buy a professional domain. So once again, this is pretty cheap. I think it's like $8 to $10 usually. So just click through and then you have the option to either buy a new domain, or if you already have a domain through another provider, you can go ahead and connect it up here. Once again, just to keep this simple, I'm going to go ahead and buy a domain. So on this screen, we can go through and choose a domain. So you can just go through and select your domain. I will go for GeForce North Demo, just like that. And then as you can see, this is available for $12. So super important here as well, when you're buying a domain, make sure it is a .com domain, make sure this is available. And then once it is, we can add this to cart and go ahead and check out. So that is how you can create your very own professional Squarespace website. If you found this video valuable, don't forget to smash that like button and tap that subscribe button. And until next time, take it easy.